Greetings, fellow guitar travellers, and I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to say, where the hell have you been? I thought you were dead. Well, turns out that rumours of my demise have been misreported or at least exaggerated. So yeah, I'm not dead. So that means that I've survived the pandemic thus far. And I'm back to annoy you in 2022. So I've not seen you guys regularly for something like four years, and I thought you might deserve some account as to where I've been and what I've been doing, because I've not been doing nothing. But I thought I'd share this with you, which is probably a bit of a sort of personal journey, a bit of an odyssey, and we'll try and let you know what's been happening, and then also what I intend to do going forward. Alright, so let's just rewind here. Let's go back in time, as Huey Lewis in the News would say. See, that dates me right away, doesn't it, that cultural reference? So I started playing guitar in about 1985, which means now I've been playing guitar for like 35, 6, 7 years, right? It's a long time. And I've been a full-time musician, making a living from music, since I would say probably 1995, which is when I moved back to Glasgow. And for almost all of that time, I really have enjoyed making a living from music, whether that's been through teaching or composing or from gigging, or just being what you might call a general jobbing musician. But I think what happened probably around about 2016, is I just got this tremendous sense of that I'd just done it all before, that I'd done many of the things I wanted to do, and I wasn't really, achieving anything. And possibly the problem with my personality type is that I'm capable of extremely hard work and a great deal of focus, but I tend to be I have been up to this point in my life, and I'm now 51. I tend to be extremely faddy, which means I'll go through periods of focusing very intently on things, and then I get bored. So effort is not the issue with me, but consistency and motivation definitely is. So around about 2016, I started getting very, let's just say, fed up, even unhappy with playing the guitar and with teaching, and just the sense that I was somewhat burnt out and didn't want to do it anymore. And round about that point, I guess it's about 4 years ago, when I regularly uploaded anything very much, I just stopped. And I think I probably went through a period of maybe sort of 2 years of being actually fairly depressed, because I didn't want to play guitar, I didn't really want to teach, and the teaching that I was doing, I was just finding that it was just a matter of getting through the lessons I had, and I wasn't really enjoying it. And I never liked to think of myself as a person who would phone in lessons, but there definitely was that element of it towards the end. And it really got to the point where I got very kind of, I've got to do something here, I've got to do something different. And so I decided that I would enrol in a master's degree in composition at my former alma mater, which would be Perth. They call it University of Highlands and Islands, but it will forever be Perth College. So I started doing a master's degree, and I think this must have been like in 2018, and for the first semester, I really enjoyed that, and it was going fantastically well. And I've got to admit, the second semester, I didn't really enjoy that nearly as much. And then, well, with great inevitability, it hit us right in the face, the huge tsunami that was COVID, and that basically put the kibosh on moving that forward. But I think with a little bit of distance, this whole idea of just doing a master's degree in composition was really just a displacement activity of thinking, right, well, I no longer want to teach guitar for a living, so I'm going to have to get qualified so I can go and teach in a college or a university. And I'm not really sure that's what I want to do either, certainly not at this point. So, state of play with that thing at the moment is that it's still on hiatus because of COVID, and I intend to go back and finish it, but realistically whether I will or not, I don't really know. I certainly intend to. So one other thing happened maybe about 6 months into the start of this master's degree, which probably takes us into about I guess it would be 2019 now. I started a new business completely in an impromptu way, and you can see some of the results of that directly behind me. I started a custom PC gaming business, and I didn't do it with any sort of master plan whatsoever. I just fell into doing it. I had some components left. I thought, I need to get rid of them. I will build a couple of machines and just sell them, and they sold quite easily. And then just occurred to me, oh, wait a minute, definitely got the skills to build gaming PCs. I know exactly how to do it, and it seems to be a very sort of popular thing, and it's an easy thing to do. I'll maybe just do this on the side to make a little bit of money. And much like the creature in The Thing, it sprung tentacles left, right and centre, and the thing has just grown in an absolutely, completely unpredictable and unprecedented way, somewhat like being a roller coaster. But one of the interesting things about that is that I found from doing this thing, which was completely different to being involved in the world of music, building gaming PCs, I really enjoyed that, and I still am really enjoying that. And that gave me a whole sort of new lease of life and motivation on things, and I got very motivated to grow the business and develop the business. So the things that seemed important to me at the time, playing my guitar and being a teacher and seeing myself as a musician, has suddenly been replaced with this completely different focus to my life, which, to be honest, gave me a completely new perspective on things and made me a lot more energetic and invigorated. And also, to be honest with you, the financial rewards of running this gaming PC business are far in excess of what I'd achieved in the last several years teaching. And it's just an open door where people are just determined to throw money in your face, which is a fantastic business to be in. Whereas I would say that the way the music business is going now, it's increasingly hard to make a living out of music. It's very hard, in fact. So anyway, I would say, though it sounds a bit hyperbolic, that starting this business is really what kind of saved me from the downward spiral of lack of motivation and depression, and pulled me out of that. Now, fast forwarding a little bit, I focused on this business for about 3 years and it had done really well, but I'd really done this business to the exclusion of everything else. And last year, well, let's put a bit of context to this. This is just addressing things like health issues and weight. I've never really been a particularly fat guy, big guy, but probably inevitably as you get into your 40s, you do start to pile on weight. I noticed that up to 28 I was fairly, skinny. I was fairly, that sort of body type. And then gradually during my 30s I put on weight, and by the time that I'd sort of reached, I would say probably early 40s, I was actually putting on quite a bit of weight. And you can actually see on some of my older YouTube videos around about 2012 or 2013, I'm actually really quite overweight. Well, in 2014 I did something about that. I did a lot of cardio, mostly running, and I was going to the gym very regularly, and I got into a really good physical condition, very fit. Looked great, but much like my nemesis, my downfall, my internal saboteur is that although I got to that condition, I got fed up with it, I got bored with it, and I was unable to maintain it. And you know exactly what happens when you don't maintain these things. Well, you just pile the weight back on again, and that's what happened fairly steadily and gradually from about 2014 till the end of 2020, when I put on quite a bit more weight, and to the point where I was about 14.5 stone, which is what, about 200 pounds or something, a bit over 200 pounds, which is way too heavy for a guy like me. And the turning point for me is I actually saw myself, I actually edited myself in an instruction video that I made for Yamaha, and I just couldn't believe how fat I was and just how bloated and unhealthy I looked. And I just thought, no, this is not me. And what's quite interesting about these situations is you have an internal picture of the sort of person you are, and that's there in your mind. And then you actually see in reality, right in front of you, the sort of person you've become, and you just think, there's a mismatch here. And I just don't see myself like that. And so round about March of 2021, I started going running again, and that was quite a challenge because I'd not been doing any serious exercise for about 6 years, certainly 5 years. And I remember making it 200 yards running around my park and having to stop bent over double, gasping for breath. My initial aim was to get 2 kilometres round that park, right? Get 2 kilometres round that park and that would be a triumph. And then I did do that, I managed that, and then I managed to do 3 kilometres and 4, then 5k. And then within probably a few months, I was running quite regularly 10k. And when you do a lot of exercise, of course, it's the way my body is, my body responds very well to exercise, and the weight did fall off me. I also did things with my diet. And maybe about sort of 6 months into that, I also began training, weight training, resistance training, strength training. And I've been doing that pretty much ever since. And at the end of 2021, I actually reached my weight goal, which was to reach 11 stone, which is what, 144 pounds. So I'd lost like 50 pounds, something like 50 pounds of weight, which is fantastic. But I'm not going to stop there. I've got some other fitness goals for this year. So the reason I'm telling you this is because it puts in a perspective, or gives me a reason to explain to you why I'm going to do what I'm going to do. What really helped me tremendously is, it just so happened that one of my guitar students, he still runs a gym, and he's become my personal trainer and a good friend of mine. And we've done quite a lot of fitness challenges together. At the end of last year, we ran 5 kilometres every day for 3 months. So we ran 92 days consecutively from the beginning of October to the end of December. We didn't take a single day off, and this included Christmas Day. And what I saw, and what he's very good at, is consistency of application. That if you just do something every day, or you have a goal and you consistently work on it, really at times, whether you want to or not, the results you get are quite amazing. And after having that demonstrated to you quite clearly and convincingly in a very short space of time, in a year, I just started looking at other areas of my life, and I thought, I need to do something about that. I can't just solve the fitness thing without looking at all the other things, and looking at my propensity to procrastinate, to put things off, to sometimes just do the bare minimum, and to generally let myself down and not achieve the things I want to achieve in my life. Certainly when you're over 50, it does put things into perspective that you've only got a limited amount of time left, and certainly a limited amount of time which you're going to be healthy. And I'm extremely lucky I can get maybe 30 years. And I want to do the best things that I can with the time that I've got, and achieve as much as I can with the time that I've got. So obviously fitness goals are part of that. It's to do with longevity, but it's also a part of mental discipline and what you might describe as self-mastery. So I looked at the other things in my life that I thought I'd neglected, or very much had neglected. So I'm certainly on my way to achieving my fitness goals, and I have a plan of action for that. And I thought about my guitar playing and how much it had been neglected in the last 4 years, and I thought, well, music is still a very, very important part of my life, and playing the guitar is a really important part of my life. And I know that my contributions to a lot of people were really positive, and I don't think it's right just to abandon all of that and just not do anything with it. So I committed myself to starting to practice 1 hour a day, and I drew up a practice regime that so far I am following. One of the other goals, which is probably the whole point of this video, was to return to YouTube and contribute again, and make content that I find interesting and content that I enjoy, but also to reach out to you guys who watch me, or hopefully will watch me, and ask you what you might like. So if you do have anything that you might like, you will let me know, and I'll do my very best to cover it. Otherwise, I'm going to cover probably, the subjects that interest me, which is harmony and improvisation. So there'll be a fair amount of, jazz and fusion going forward, and probably less shred. If I do shred, there'll be tiny little try this like video type things. But whatever you guys would like, I'm very open to. So I drew up a list of goals for this year, and fitness is certainly way up there. Commitment to my guitar, commitment to producing educational content again, and commitment to delivering lessons to the best of my ability. I have some other personal goals which I will talk about. Sometimes I've not always been the most the most generous, tolerant, understanding person. Because I've always held high standards for myself, which, to be honest, I haven't always met myself, but have nevertheless imposed or sought to impose those standards on other people. I think I don't want to do that anymore. I certainly don't want to try and dictate to somebody what they should do, how they should think, how they should live, how they should behave, in any way at all. Because I think ultimately you have your own personal agency and you can decide for yourself what you want to do, and it's no business of mine to try and impose that on somebody else. So that's a very different mentality to the one that I held previously, and certainly when I taught to a large extent, that was the way that I taught, which was good for some people. Some people really responded well to that. This is what we're going to do, and these are the goals, and that's what we're going to do. I think for a very small minority of students that worked extremely well, and the results they got were absolutely amazing. But it only ever was a very small minority, and for a lot of other students it was just all way too much. I turned guitar lessons into some sort of concentration style boot camp, crushed under the jackboot of "you will practice this." And for a lot of hobbyist guitarists, they just didn't want to do that. Especially when I was teaching Yamaha music schools, they just wanted to come and play the guitar. So I'm looking at things a lot differently now. I'm into the idea of personal responsibility for yourself, but I don't think you can impose it upon somebody else, and nor should you seek to. Anyway, so without rambling on too much more, I think I'd just like to say it's great to be back on YouTube, and I hope you will watch the content going forward, and I hope you'll get something out of it. If not, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to do it anyway because it's important to me. It's important to me, and hopefully at the same time I can contribute something to you guys. So I'll see you next week. I should say I'm going to do one YouTube video a week. I'm only doing one, so it better be good, right? I'll do one YouTube video a week, and I'll see you for the first proper lesson next week. Alright, so fellow guitar travellers, chaps, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you later. Farewell.